Everybody, time is now 3:30. I hereby call the August 15th, 2023 meeting of the St. Joseph County Area Planning Commission to order. Before we begin, I have a few announcements to make. This meeting is being held in person and virtually on the fourth floor of the county council chambers of the county city building, as posted on our website, sjcindiana.com/agenda center. We will first ask for any public comment from those sitting in the chambers, then call on members of the public attending remotely. If a member of the public attending remotely wishes to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom and or by messaging the host in the chat function. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. We ask that board members state their name when making a motion and a second. Lastly, please silence your cell phone so they do not disturb the meeting. Now that we have announcements are over, may we please have the roll call? Frank.
Mr. Devon.
Present.
Mr. Hawley.
Present.
Mr. Krasinski.
Present.
Ms. Hannon.
Present.
Mr. England.
Present.
Ms. McCombs.
Present.
Dr. Thacker. Not sure Dr. Thacker is online. Mr. Tavernier.
Present.
Thank you, Frank. We are a 9-member commission. We currently have 7 members present in person. So we do have a quorum. If any petitioner would prefer to have their petition heard with more members present, they may ask to have staff have their item tabled to a future meeting when more members might be present. Real quick before we get into it, anybody here for petition number 1 on the rezoning, that motion or that petitioner has withdrawn this from the table, from the docket altogether. So this will not be heard today. So seeing that, can we have the reading for petition number 2, please?
A proposed ordinance of Curtis Kendall to zone from B business commercial district to R residential district, property located at 112 Ullery Street, Roseland, APC number 310-23.
On the PowerPoint, Frank. Thanks. Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. So this is a property in Roseland that is currently Zone B Business Commercial and was at one time used as an accessory to a business use, but has recently been converted into a single family residence. The petitioner is looking to rezone the property to residential in order to legalize that current use and sell it to a prospective home buyer. The site is located just west of State Road 933. To the north is the Big C lumber operation that I think it was once accessory to. To the south is a tax consultant. To the east is an alley, and beyond that is Cheers Pub and a coffee shop. Those are all Zone B business commercial. To the east, which is also Zone B business commercial, are what appears to be legal non-conforming single family residential homes. This is a view of the property as it currently sits, recently renovated, as I mentioned. That's from the back. There you can see the abutting commercial that it is right next to. And that's on the other side of the road, sort of northwest of the property. This is to the southwest. Those are those single family homes that are also Zone B business commercial. And then that's the tax use to the south that appears to have been built as a single family residence, but is being used as a business.
And they live there.
And okay, and they also live there. Thank you for the clarification. So looking at our state law criteria, this rezoning is supported by Roseland's comprehensive plan, specifically encouraging the rehabilitation of housing and promoting compatible infill residential construction is in the comprehensive plan. As you have seen, the subject property is near other buildings that are also residential in character to the south and west primarily. The most desirable use for this property would be a flexible use that also allows for residential development. And given Roseland's limited zoning options, the residential district would be appropriate. They only have 2 zoning districts, and the business commercial does not allow for single family residence as a primary use. The rehabilitation of this property will maintain property values of all the surrounding properties, both the residential and the commercial. And then finally, allowing for infill and more housing options in the town of Roseland does represent responsible growth and development. We do recommend this petition be forwarded to Roseland's Town Council with a favorable recommendation, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Carl. Any questions? Otherwise, may we have the petitioner, please?
That would be me, Curtis Kendall.
Come forward and state your name and address and up the podium up here.
My name's Curtis Kendall. I own the property. My address 19270 Darden Road, South Bend, Indiana. I got the property sold, but the people can't get the loan on it because it's zoned commercial. And it's gotta be a residential loan for them to get it to pass. The house is all new inside. It's all brand new. I mean, it's all up to specs. Everything's done according to the ordinance and stuff. Other than that, I just need to go on forth with this so I can get rid of it. I'm getting older in age. My family wants me to start getting my affairs in order a little bit, I guess. So, other than that, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is the property vacant now?
Yes, we was using it as an Airbnb. It is up for sale. It's ready to be moved in. I already got a prospective buyer on it and everything. They held out for me to do all this, so
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll now open this to the public. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward. Seeing none, do we have anybody online? I don't think we do we?
There's no one on.
Is anybody present wishing to speak against this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none, I'll now close it to the public. Any last questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion?
I make a motion that we send APC number 3010-23-112 Ellery Street with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second that, Bob Hawley.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second to send APC 3010-23 to the Roseland Town Council with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We have a text amendment. Two text amendments, actually. I'm reading for that.
We have a proposed ordinance amending Title 15 Land Usage, Chapter 152, zoning of the town of New Carlisle Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, to add manufacturing retailer as a permitted use in the TC Town Center District, APC number 3011-23.
Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff again. So this one's just what it sounds like. Right now, New Carlisle zoning ordinance has manufacturing retailers in it. It's defined as a food sales and service establishment where food or beverage products are produced in a limited quantity sufficient to support on-site sales as either a primary or an accessory option to the on-site business. Examples of this could be a bakery or a brewery. Currently, it is permitted by right in the community business, the light industrial, the general industrial districts, while it is a special exception use in the light business district. In conversations with New Carlisle's town council, there are some vacant buildings in the downtown area, and they want to kind of promote more flexibility in these buildings in attracting potential business owners. So they asked us to put forward this amendment to allow for this use in the town center district. And if you have any questions, we do recommend it sent favorably to the New Carlisle Town Council. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions? And this is a motion by the planning commission, correct? So we don't have an actual.
No petitioner, yep.
So no other questions. We'll open this to the public. Do we have anybody here present wishing to speak in favor of this text amendment? Please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak against this text amendment? Again, seeing none. I will now close this. Any last comments, questions? concerns? Otherwise, may I have a motion?
Molly Hannon, I'll make a motion to pass the text amendment 3011-23.
Elizabeth McCombs, I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second to send APC 3011-23 to the Town Council of New Carlisle with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Reading number 2.
A proposed ordinance amending Title 15 Land Usage, Chapter 154, Planning and Zoning of the St. Joseph County Code, Section 154.070, General Regulations regarding fences and accessory structures, APC number 3012-23.
Good afternoon, Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So this text amendment was really prompted by a number of variances that the Area Board of Zoning Appeals has been routinely seeing and granting as of late. Most of these are a result of us beginning to enforce the permit requirement of the zoning ordinance for fences. In doing so, which we began in April of 2022, we've seen a number of fence variances go through wherein the property owner is always able to demonstrate that there is practical difficulty and therefore support the variance. One of the main areas where we've been seeing this are for residential corner lot properties. In which case, currently in the zoning ordinance, if you have a corner property which is zoned R single family, both of the property lines that are abutting the streets are considered front property lines, which means anything between that front property line and the facade of the building that runs parallel to that front property line, a fence that's solid could only be 3 feet, and a fence that's 70% open could, like a chain link fence, could only be 4 feet. So what we've seen is 9 variance requests since 2022 for these residential corner lots. They've all been granted because, once again, the petitioner can always demonstrate that there's practical difficulty in that it severely limits the area that they're able to fence off in what actually functions more as their backyard than any sort of front yard. So this has been 64% of the residential fence variances which have been granted since 2022. And this maybe will illustrate it a little better. Under the current standard for a residential corner lot, nothing in front of those red lines that you see that come from the corners of the house there could exceed 3 feet for a solid fence, 4 feet for an open fence. So the proposed standard, which we came up with at the request of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, who wanted us to look into this for them. So we now will allow the property owner to designate one of these front property lines as a front, and therefore they would not be able to build a fence at the full height in front of that front building line, but they can designate the other street line as a side. And this is actually consistent with what we allow for building setbacks on the side. We allow those to meet the side setbacks of the variance, which in most cases will be 8 feet. So we will allow the fence to come out to the street 8 feet. It'll still need to be set back the same as an accessory structure. So in that sense, it'll protect neighborhood character. And additionally, we have it so that it can't exceed the rear corner of the house towards what they're designating as a front. And the effect of that is that there isn't actually an instance where a solid fence is actually between the street and the house structure. So it still protects neighborhood character in that way. So also in this text amendment, we corrected for a few other development standards related to fences that we've found to be unreasonable now that we're enforcing those development standards. One of these being in the agricultural district, where fences are routinely moved, replaced, erected at whatever height are needed for livestock, et cetera. We're now opting to exempt these from fencing standards, other than prohibiting them from being in the clear sight triangle where 2 streets right away meet, so that we protect the public safety there, but there's really not as much concern for neighborhood character, that sort of thing. Additionally, we've seen a couple of variances for taller fences in the front yards of industrial districts that have been damaged, and we've needed to require a variance just for them to replace these fences. We find that it is reasonable to allow these taller fences for screening and security purposes in the industrial district, where once again, there's less concern about the aesthetics of the property. Furthermore, we now exempt wireless telecommunication facility fences from development standards other than those specifically in that chapter. There was actually some conflict between what was permitted in the agricultural and residential districts and what the facility itself would require in terms of security and screening fencing. So that's about everything. Also accessory structures in the agricultural district. While we were editing fences, we've seen a number of smaller agriculturally zoned parcels that have a residential primary use. And anytime that someone wants to build a new accessory use on these parcels, they need to either meet a 30-foot side and rear setback, which typically is unreasonable, especially given septic placement. So we're proposing that they only need to meet the residential side and rear setback for an accessory structure of 8 feet. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions?
I have a question in regards to it just entered my mind. Let's say that you had or you were permitted to put up a 6-foot fence or a 4-foot fence, and it was an anchor, I guess you call them anchor fences where you can see through it. Am I saying that right? An open
Yeah,
fence.
so if the fence is open more than 70%, that'll get you additional height. It does currently in the backyard, that'll get you up to an 8 foot if it's 70% open, and in the front, it'll get you up to 4. And how we're proposing it now, it's either going to be those same heights, but we're just allowing for more of the taller fences.
Okay, my point is, do we have to have something in there that says they can't cover the fence with a cloth or a material?
We don't specifically state that, but then it would become a solid fence at that point. And I think we've actually run into that in
Yeah.
zoning enforcement.
Yes.
So at that point, it would be treated as a solid fence and they would be in violation.
You're correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that you all understand, but I just want to make sure to call out for you, Bob and DJ, because the BZA has heard so many of these variances. Bob, because of some of the concerns you've raised in meetings and others too, Sean and Carl in drafting the text amendment didn't allow the fence to be right up to the property line, setting it back 8 feet. So that way there is a little bit more of a front yard, but still giving people the opportunity to have more privacy than what's currently allowed in our ordinance. Because I know we've had a couple where the fence really was right up at the property line and there was a concern. That's why we felt like this was a good middle ground.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, on the bottom left corner there, you can't bring the fence up towards the front facade of the home. Is that correct? It has to stay at the back wall.
That's absolutely correct, right?
And that was just to keep the character that it was.
Correct.
I have no other questions. I'm gonna go ahead and open this to the public. Is anybody here present wishing to speak in favor of this petition, please come forward. Seeing none. Anybody here wishing to speak against this text amendment, please come forward and state your name and address. And seeing none, I will now close this to the public. Any last comments, questions, concerns, or if not, here we have a motion.
Elizabeth McCombs, I make a motion that we give a favorable recommendation to 3012-23.
Bob Hawley, second that.
We have a motion and a second to send APC 3012-23 to the county council with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have a few items not requiring public hearing. We have 2 months worth of minutes since Shelley didn't have those for us last month.
yeah.
We have June 20th and July 18th meetings. Anybody has any?
Bob Holly, I'll make a motion to accept the June 20th, 2023 minutes as presented.
Elizabeth McCombs, I'll second that.
Just as a reminder, you've got a member who's online now, so you'd have to do a roll call vote.
Oh, okay.
He just popped up,
Okay.
unless he's unable to participate at this point, I'm not sure. Can you hear us, Dr. Thacker?
Good afternoon. I can hear you now. Thank you very much. Delighted to
Okay.
meet you.
It should be. If you have a camera that you can turn on, we need you to turn it on. There you go. Thank you.
We have a motion a second to approve the minutes for the June 20th, 2023 meeting. Now, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. England.
Here, present.
Yeah, I need your vote on the motion on the table.
Of course I was paying attention.
Listening very hard.
All right, Mr. England, yea or nay?
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski,
Yes.
Ms. McCombs,
Yes.
Dr. Thacker,
Yes,
DJ Teveny,
Yes.
and Mr. Devon.
Yes. Motion
See you next.
carries. We also have July 18th minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the July 18th minutes as presented. Elizabeth McCombs.
Bob Holly, second that.
We have a motion a second to approve the minutes for July 18th, 2023 meeting. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. England,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski,
Yes.
Ms. McCombs,
Yes.
Dr. Thacker,
yes.
Mr. Teveny,
Yes.
unanimous.
I didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Up till now it is. Mr. Devon.
Yes.
You wanted to see?
More fun.
The chair only votes to break a tie. I'm working out.
Not allowed, not with.
Glad you're here, Frank. We also have, another item not requiring public hearing, revisal of the filing schedule.
Yes, this is Sean Klein again. We've recently had some inquiry from the development community about doing a combined public hearing before the APC with a subdivision. So in other words, if it was a project that needed a rezoning and a subdivision, they could bring them both to you for consideration at once. Same thing with the subdivision that required variances. And this is something that is permitted by state law as well as our ordinance. We've just never really seen one of these. So kind of the concern that staff as well as the reviewing agencies of the plat committee had was our current filing schedule deadlines don't allow the length of review that we generally get for subdivisions, which there's a lot more technical requirements that we need to go through versus rezonings or variances. So in an effort to kind of prepare for us to see these combined public hearings, staff is proposing a longer review period specifically for subdivisions. So they would have to be submitted a week prior to other items such as rezonings. And this would allow a review period, which is pretty much equivalent to what we do for the plat committee by getting us that extra week. So anyone have any questions?
And just to clarify, this is just for combined,
Just for combined hearings that have a subdivision, everything else is the
not
same.
normal subdivision,
No,
yes.
oh, no, those will still go through plat committee, exactly.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the revised filing schedule?
I make a motion, Elizabeth McCombs, to approve the revised filing schedule.
DJ Tavernier, I'll second.
I have a motion a second to approve the revised filing schedule for the APC just in general, ABC filing schedule. All those in favors? Oh, no, we have, roll call,
Yeah.
please.
Mr. England,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski,
Yes.
Ms. McCombs,
Yes,
Dr. Thacker,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier,
Yes.
Mr. Devon.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. And Executive Director's report, Abby.
In your packets is a summary of the petitions that went through APC, everything that has been forwarded on to the town councils. And the county council has been approved a rezoning in Osceola, rezoning on Bittersweet State Road 2, removal of written commitments on Fillmore Road, and then the text amendment that added data centers all were approved by the respective councils. Comprehensive plan continues, staff continues to review the draft, and we will schedule outreach later this fall. In terms of personnel and our boards and commissions, I'm happy to report, I think for the first time, except for a very brief period in time in my time here, our boards and commissions are full. Now that DJ is on for Osceola, we filled that vacancy, and our area board of zoning appeals, we just had a new appointment in DJ's old spot on the ABZA that will start with us next week at our meeting. We're working on a text amendment for solar. I mentioned this to Adam in our before the meeting, specifically related to the decommissioning requirements. And then we will likely have a text amendment to the subdivision ordinance as well. And just want to make sure everyone's aware, the Parks Department is in the process of updating their 5-year master plan. They have had a number of public meetings and they're working on a few more. And there's a survey available online. I included a link to the planning process or to the project site if you, in your packets, if you'd like to go get more information about that process. Lastly, we have a couple updates that won't come through, or a couple updates to our code enforcement ordinances that won't come through you. They'll go directly to the county council, but a lot of administrative cleanup of our weed and rank public nuisance and abandoned vehicle ordinances. Brandy, too many ordinances that we'll put on the agenda for the county council in September.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you, Abby.
Yep.
There's nothing else. We have a motion for adjournment.
Elizabeth McCombs, I make a motion, we adjourn at 3:58 PM.
Seconds that motion, Bob Holly.
We have a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Oh.
You gotta do roll call.
Oh,
You're just trying to get those last 2 minutes in, aren't you?
He has to earn her keep.
That's right.
Nope, the state's doing this to you guys, not me. Like, they just happen to be doing me a favor.
Yeah.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski.
Yes.
Ms. McComb,
yes.
Dr. Thacker,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier,
Yes.
and Mr. Devon.
Oh,
We're at 3:59, aren't we? Oh, well.
a record. a
Yes.
record.
I'll take it.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for all your hard work.
You know,